Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. It is October 25th, 11:18 p.m. It's Saturday night. It's episode 630, All Hallows Eve week. It has all come down to this. Halloween week is upon us. Halloween is in 6 days as of now. And I just got my stuff out. Not all of it because I think my Ravens pumpkin got destroyed last year. I think I threw it out because it got busted or it wasn't working or something like that. So I bought two more, which are coming tomorrow. Getting my skeleton flamingo one, and then there was another one that I forgot what it was. I got. I like the look of it. I said, "No, I'll buy it." Yeah, it's like a sort of a scarecrow pumpkin thing. So pretty cool. So it's 10 feet tall. So awesome. So that's going on. It's 2025 era Halloween, which means it absolutely sucks ass because Halloween is supposed to be, it's a great, exciting time for me. I love this time of year. I love October. But this fucking year is just fucking everything I've loved so far for the past 10 months. It's all it's been doing. And fuck this country, fuck this president, fuck this government. I'm so sick and fucking tired of it. That being said, I got that out of the way. It's a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. As I said, the last one before Halloween, because I will not be doing one on Halloween. Halloween's on Friday this week. So my show will be at the beginning of November. So this is also the last one for October. This time last year, I was doing my 13 days of Halloween, where I did a list, 13 different list shows. Technically, I did 12. My daughter did one, which is great. So you can check those out on my Dylan Knows. If you go to my page, I have a bunch of playlists, and one of them is Dylan Knows, and then Dylan Knows Part 2. Dylan Knows Part 2 has all the stuff from the last couple of years. So there's that. This feels a little awkward because I'm trying to get the pumpkin head in here for the duration of the show, since this is Halloween week. I will be revealing everyone. We have a Halloween costume at work every year, and I dress up every year. And we have a money contest, and I've won 7 times, but I haven't won since, I don't know, like 2018, something like that. So it's been a really, really long time since I've won the last time. And now they changed the rules, and I'm probably never going to win again. But everybody keeps asking me, what are you going to be for Halloween? What are you going to be for Halloween? Because they know I dress up every year, and I'm always excited about it. And I always tease them because I like them to be surprised. But sometimes I fold. But then sometimes it's like this year, 2025 has sucked ass. It took me forever to find out what I'm going to be. And I finally decided upon I'm going to be Heath Ledger Joker. I got the shirt and the vest today. So let's get the makeup and the wig between the 29th, the 28th, and the 30th, which is pissing me off a little bit that I'm not going to be. It's not guaranteed to arrive by Halloween, even though I did pay $10 extra to get it here by then. So hopefully it will get here sooner than later. So yeah, so I decided to do that. So I have to start studying the Joker voice. So I'm going to try to do it all day on Halloween. Oh, my cat's down here. Okay. So we'll see how that works out. So my wife is at Aztec Island, down near Ocean City for a camping thing for her scouts. My daughter's side, she wanted to come home very briefly, so I picked her up at about 5 o'clock yesterday, Friday, and she left about 1 o'clock today with her boyfriend. They haven't had a lot of time to spend time together, so they were able to spend some time, and he was going to drop her back off at school. But I got to have a nice drive, long talk with her in the car, and then we got home, we talked a little bit more, and then we had pizza with my son, and talked a little bit more, and then she wanted to see. I had sold her on the Haunting of Hill House, which you never see on Netflix. So we watched the first 3 episodes of that, and that was it. And then we went to bed, and then she left. And so Poe's here till Thanksgiving now, but that's okay. She's having a blast, which is great. My son is doing very well in school as well, and he loves spending some time with his sister. It's very funny. The very same Kitty who I know is around here somewhere, he was very loving to her last night after I went to bed, and Noelle told me the story. My daughter told me the story this morning. Pepper was very lovey towards her and rubbing against her. And then she went to call her boyfriend. She got on the phone with her boyfriend. He started getting angry at her and biting her and smacking her. So she had to chase him out of the room because I think he got jealous that she was talking to her boyfriend and not paying attention to him. So I think that's funny. That's just, yes, I'm talking about you. There you are. Hello. So that's what's going on with that. So I'm so close because I got to show the pumpkin here. I can't really go any further over. And if I go over this way, it's going to block him. So there's really no place I can really hang up there except in the way back there. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to keep it right here. So that's what's going on. So I guess we just get right into it. Liquid IV, which is one of these energy restoration sort of drink things, is now releasing a hot chocolate flavor for the holiday season, because that is now what we're going to start talking about once Halloween is over and done with. Supposedly on Halloween, we're going to get the Stranger Things trailer for the new season. But after that, it'll segue right to Christmas, even though Thanksgiving is still in there as well. So we're starting to see a lot more of that stuff now. This is a rumor, but wouldn't surprise me because of the way things are nowadays. But is Sydney Sweeney selling a beer made from her urine? It just sounds disgusting. Anyway, even if it isn't Sydney Sweeney, just beer made from urine just does not sound appetizing. And the fact that, it's water waste from Sydney Sweeney and people are willing to drink that is kind of weird. I mean, they used her bath water soap. I get that also, and I just don't understand that either. But I guess just because, her naked body was in the water, so they want to have water that touched. I don't know. So that's just chalk that up to rumor. I really don't think that's real, because who in their right mind would drink? Supposedly they made up some guy named Bahir who bought 40 bottles of it already. That just doesn't sound right to me. We got our first look at Crime 101 trailer, which reteams Chris Hemsworth with Mark Ruffalo. Halle Berry's along for the ride as well. And it's a little bit of a departure for Chris Hemsworth. He hasn't been seen for a little while. And it's good to see him come back into films and playing something other than Thor. So it looks like a decent thriller. So we'll see if that pops up here. Jennifer's Body is set to get a sequel written by Diablo Cody, who wrote the first one. So people are saying that the sequel is excellent. So Amanda Seyfried is supposedly in talks to also return along with Megan Fox. So we'll see if that all works out. That's really the only way I think it's going to work. The images last week, but I'm going to mention it again here. Wonder Man from Marvel was moved to January 27th, 2026. Not 2027, 2026. So we have they moved that out of the busy streaming season into a maybe a lot less busy season. Grown Ups 3 begins production in February 2026. My son asked me point blank today what I think about Adam Sandler, and I told him exactly what I've told you guys before. I'm not the biggest fan of all of his movies. He is one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. I've heard that. He's been married for a long time to his wife, is a family man, doesn't cheat, doesn't really get in any trouble. And he does a favor by making these types of movies, the grown-ups movies, which he brings all of his buddies from Saturday Night Live back who haven't had the career that he has had, to give them paycheck and pension, stuff like that. But it's pissing me off a little bit that he's bringing Rob Schneider back, who is a dyed-in-the-wool fuckbag shithead who should go to hell and die. And I hate seeing him in an Adam Sandler movie. but it's one of his friends, so he's going to try to help him because that's who Adam Sandler is. He's a good guy. Keanu Reeves does the same thing. He would help MAGA shitbags as well, but that just is kind of disappointing in that end. And Grown Ups itself is not really that great of a movie series anyway, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of Adam Sandler's movies, because they're not all that great. They're character driven. He creates these weird characters and makes a movie around them, and some of the jokes fall flat. Some can be very bad. Some of the movies are not very good. He has been trying to branch out a little bit to drama, which I give him credit for. The movie he's doing with George Clooney actually looks decent, and that's coming out in December, I think, and that's going to be on Netflix, so I might check that out. But all in all, I mean, I will continue to say, despite what I feel about it, I think he's one of the smartest guys out there, because he saw the writing on the wall, and before streaming took off like it did, he had a premonition that it probably was going to. So he hitched his wagon to Netflix and said, hey, I will make movies for you, and you can have them on Netflix, and knowing full well that they would give him lots of money and he can make what movies he wanted to make, and Netflix would run them on their streaming service, and not necessarily the movies. I don't think any of his movies that he's made for Netflix have popped up into theaters. So he knows what he's doing. And a lot of people now follow suit and now are making films directly just for the streaming services. Adam Sandler was one of the first ones to do it, and I have to applaud him for his foresight. But I understand he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart because he's a good guy, but to help his MAGA fuckbag friends survive is pissing me off a little bit. I'll have to admit that. But that's why something. And besides, Grown Ups, as it says, a shitty movie series anyway. Speaking of Netflix, there's a lot of Netflix in this week's episode. They are set to revitalize The Phantom, which is a really good idea, because I think a lot of these pulp heroes from the 30s deserve a chance. Like The Shadows, one of my absolute favorite movies, and they dropped the ball when they didn't do a sequel, because Alec Baldwin was perfect. Penelope Ann Miller was a great foil for him. Peter Boyle was great as the cab driver. We had Jonathan Winters was in there. We just had an amazing cast. John Lone was fantastic as his main bad guy, and just the idea, the aesthetic, and all of that was perfect for that. And what was the other one? The Rocketeer's another one that's sort of similar. It's not quite a pulp hero because it wasn't done in the pulp hero era. That was done in like the 1980s by Dave Stevens, who was making a comic book that was based in the pulp era, but actually was not part of it. But still, it had the same sort of style to it. And in The Phantom, Billy Zane made a movie that was okay. It wasn't great, but there's definitely a lot of potential for The Phantom, and it's good to see that Netflix is trying to dip into that a little bit. Austin Butler. See, last week it looked like Glenn. Oh, that's my trier. What the fuck was that noise? Glenn Powell looked like he was a front runner for the new Miami Vice movie. Michael B. Jordan's already pretty much cast in that as Tubbs, but Crockett is the one everybody's looking for. And Glenn Powell, last week everyone was like, yeah, he's a shoo-in for it. But now this week they're bringing the next pretty boy up, Austin Butler, is now the front runner for it. So we don't know for sure. Michael B. Jordan, though, for sure is probably going to be in it. We just don't know who's going to be Crockett in this aspect. As I said, it's end of October. Kind of depressing because this year has sucked ass so badly, and we are now finally beginning to be in the peak of the fall colors. Drive down 795 up here, up or down, whatever. Trees are gorgeous, oranges and yellows, stuff like that. And the neighborhood's starting to glow up a little bit too, so that's really good too. But we also know that in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we get to mid-November, all that's going to be gone. So I'll be barren trees, and it's going to be winter and stuff like that. But Thanksgiving is a wholly, completely different thing also. That reminds me, though, I forgot to tell you, there was an incident yesterday when I went to get, pizza for the kids. I was driving down Franklin Boulevard near a speed camera when a deer ran in front of my car, and I almost hit the deer. I didn't see it, and it ran right in front of me. I didn't have time even to brake. if it wasn't fast enough to cross in front of me, it could have been bad. There was somebody behind me also. It could have been very, very bad. But luckily, someone was looking out for me. This is interesting. So Starry, which was a lemon lime soda, which has disappeared now. I forget what took its place again. It was like Pepsi's version of Sprite, but something else is taking it over. I forget the name of it. But anyway, Starry used to be one of my son's favorite drinks, and every holiday season they did like a cranberry flavor, which is kind of decent actually. Then Starry disappeared, and as I said, there's another lemon lime soda out there now from Pepsi. I couldn't tell you what it was called right now. But Starry will be returning for the holiday season with their cranberry blitz soda. Now, from what I read, it looks like you can only get the no sugar version during the holidays, and that the regular sugar version is going to be at the beginning of 2026, which is kind of stupid if you ask me, because I think if I remember correctly, the cranberry blizz Starry is actually a decent soda. So we'll see how that goes. The Goonies Lego set was revealed this week, so there is an official Goonies Lego set that'll be coming out soon. It was revealed this week, so I don't know exactly when it'll be out, but it'll be out soon. Shrinking Season 3 is set to debut January 28th, 2026, and go through April. So there's a lot of that, one episode a week. So if you think about it that way, it's a 1 hour episode then, January. So you've got like 4, 8, it's like 12, 13 episodes. So it kind of just makes a lot of sense. It goes through April 8th. That's set to debut on the 28th of January. Mike Flanagan has finished his Carrie limited series. So now maybe he can focus on the Dark Tower, but that's besides the point. But he has wrapped it this week. A lot of stuff wrapped this week, which we're going to talk about a little bit. Blue Jays and Dodgers are in the World Series right now. I just came word right before I came on the show here. Word just came down the Dodgers won today's game, so the series is tied at 1. The Blue Jays blew them out game 1, and the Dodgers held them 5-1 today. So it's 1-1 right now, and I think it goes to Los Angeles. The first 2 games are in Toronto. Next 3 are in Los Angeles. The last 2 are in Toronto. So I think that's how that goes. So they're heading to LA now. They're going to take a day off tomorrow. And then I think they're in LA on Monday. They start game 3. So we'll see how that goes. At this point, it's a win-win for anybody because the Blue Jays are Canadian, and that would piss off the con in charge at the White House. And also, if LA won, that would piss off the con in charge because LA is giving the finger to him right now as well. So it's a win-win situation for the good guys. Tom Cruise is set to join Henry Cavill in the Warhammer 40K project, whatever that turns out to be eventually. Cavill still has to do Highlander. He's still recovering from an injury he got while training. He still has to film Highlander. Then he can get into Warhammer. Warhammer is probably not going to get started even until next summer at the earliest, probably. So at the same time, I haven't seen that reported anywhere else except for this one spot. So take that with the Sydney Sweeney urine beer, which I should name this episode, into account as well. The new Fantastic Four movie, First Steps, is set to debut on Disney Plus November 5th. So if you decided to wait to watch it on Disney Plus and not see it in movie theaters, well, you're a moron. You should see all movies in movie theaters and not wait for them to show up on. But I digress. That's just my opinion. But it will be debuting on Disney Plus on November 5th. I shouldn't say that. I mean, as we've discussed in detail, that there are perks to waiting for stuff to come to streaming, but I'm a movie theater guy, and I would prefer people go to movie theaters to support local movie theaters as well. All right, I've been skipping specific ones because they're kind of serious sort of stories. First up, a teen was handcuffed after Doritos were confused for a gun by police AI. I don't even exactly know what police AI is, but he was handcuffed by it because they thought that the Doritos he had in his hand was a gun. Go figure. Hurricane Melissa is now a Class 3 hurricane and is heading directly for Jamaica. Meteorologists are speculating that it could possibly increase to a level 5, Class 5 one, which would drop 40 inches of rain on Jamaica. It would be an absolute, utter devastation. It's already going to be absolutely awful depending on what it is, but it seems to be intensifying pretty quickly. So be safe out there, Jamaica. A California inmate who changed his name to Caesar Augustus. He's in jail serving a life sentence for strangling his sister's rapist. So a rapist who was trying to rape this guy's sister gets killed in self-defense by the brother of the sister who is going to be raped, which is a terrible crime. And he gets busted for a life sentence for killing a dude for protecting his sister. That in all itself doesn't make a lot of sense. But he has killed 5 child molesters in that same prison. So he's been in prison for life sentence, and they bring in a couple of child molesters who've been busted. He finds out what they do, and he strangles them with a cane he uses to help him walk. So, yes, killing is not great, but this guy is killing the right type of people. I mean, I guess there really is no right type of person to kill because killing is bad, but child molesters are terrible. Rapists are terrible. And the fact that this dude is killing them is interesting, I guess. I don't know any other word for it, but I think it's worth mentioning. And anyway, this is kind of a sad kind of story, and there's pictures that prove this also. A lone emperor penguin has been sighted on a beach in Australia, which is 1,860 miles away from where he should be. He should be in Antarctica, which is 1,860 miles away from Australia. And this penguin somehow made it to the shores of Australia. People are saying it has to do maybe with the climate change. Something happened. He got shifted, got caught in something. Or it could be an adventure. I don't know. But it's kind of interesting. A lot of anniversaries here. So we'll do the one death. June Lockhart, actress from Lassie, Lost in Space, Meet Me in St. Louis, Battlestar Galactica. She passed away this week. Anniversaries is that time of the year, and I said this. I think I went on a rant last week. Is that they need to release more horror type movies in October to take advantage of the Halloween season and the spooky season. As you're going to see, they knew what they were talking about and knew what they were doing years ago. Because first up, the original Halloween from 1978 debuted this week, 47 years ago. The Nightmare Before Christmas debuted 32 years ago this week. Thinner debuted 29 years ago this week. Ghost Ship debuted 23 years ago this week. The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 1, the very first ever Treehouse of Horror, debuted 35 years ago this week. And that's just for now. There's going to be more coming up that released this week that are horror related. But there were other movies also. One of the most underrated and one of the best science fiction movies of, I believe it's the 90s, I think. Yes, it is 90s, 28 years ago. Gattaca debuted 28 years ago this week. High School High, which is actually one of the funniest parody movies with John Lovitz in there, debuted 29 years ago this week. Pleasantville debuted 27 years ago this week with Tobey Maguire. I just had her name. Paul Walker and Reese Witherspoon. That's who it was. Debuted 27 years ago this week. Newhart, the second Bob Newhart show, debuted 43 years ago this week. I remember my dad used to watch Newhart all the time. He loved it. And I think he loved the series finale, which twisted him back to the Bob Newhart show, which was a classic. And Taylor Swift made her debut album, released her debut album this week, 19 years ago. And now look at her. As I said last week, the top 12 singles in the Billboard are all 12 of her tracks from her new album that just came out this week. So good on that. So Robert Eggers, who is currently filming Werewolf, has stated that his next movie, he wants to do a version of A Christmas Carol with Willem Dafoe as Ebenezer Scrooge. I reported this a few months ago. I think it's a brilliant idea. It's great. This week, they announced that Johnny Depp will also be playing Ebenezer Scrooge in a dark version of A Christmas Carol, directed by T. West, who did the X and the movies with Mia Goth. He'll be directing a dark version of A Christmas Carol. There's a great mock-up poster. It's not real, but it's a mock-up poster. It's Johnny Depp looking like Ebenezer Scrooge, dressed in Victorian era English stuff, Christmas time, and he looks like Scrooge walking down the cobblestone road, and all these ghosts are behind him. And it's like the tagline is "The ghosts are real" or something like that. So that sounds like a really cool idea, but it sounds also awfully familiar to the Robert Eggers, Willem Dafoe Christmas Carol. They're planning on doing also a dark version too. So, I mean, I guess if any story was set to get a dark version of it, I guess A Christmas Carol is a decent choice for that. I mean, I am a alumnus of oh, come on. There we go. Sorry, I had my warning sign come up there again. I'm an alumnus of A Christmas Carol. I played Bob Cratchit in a version of A Christmas Carol my senior year of high school. It was a load of fun. I had a great time, and it was great playing that kind of character. I played Santa Claus in 5th grade, and I played Jesus Christ at a summer Bible vacation school thing. So those are the only icons I've really played in the theater. So, but we'll see how that works out. Is there room for it? I suppose if they come out at different times, because let's face facts, this T West one is probably going to be coming out next year because they just announced it. Robert Eggers is in the middle of doing Werewolf right now. He's still got to film it. He's still got to edit it and do all that stuff. And then he's got to do pre-production on his Christmas Carol. So we're probably not going to see beginning work on this probably till around this time next year. And by that time, Johnny Depp's version should maybe be making its way out now. So we'll see what happens. So they might have one in 2027 or 2026 and one in 2027. We'll see. This is interesting. So Dan Barrington is a comic book writer artist, and he created a team called the Nocturnals back in the late 90s, because it was still around when I was working at Diamond at the turn of the century. And I enjoyed it. I love the Nocturnals. I have a couple of their trades over there, and I haven't been following comics. I haven't been reading comics, but I discovered that Dark Horse is publishing a new Nocturnals limited series. And it's good to see that, because it is a very Halloween sort of spirited themed sort of superhero comic thing. So that's kind of cool. Speaking of comic book sales have surged 27% in 2025 over last year. So good on that. Even though I don't collect anymore, that's a really good. I'm still cheering on the comic book companies, and I still enjoy my comic book store right up the street. This is so. We talked about how Netflix is all over this episode today. They're doing a Catan movies and series. Catan is one of these great role-playing sort of games that everybody knows and loves, and it's got its own like Dungeons and Dragons-esque feel to it with its mythology and stuff like that. Well, Netflix decided to create its own Catan universe with movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So that could be kind of interesting if done properly. So we'll see how that works out. They just announced it, so we're probably not seeing it anytime soon, but at least it's in the atmosphere out there now. Mortal Kombat 2 has moved up a couple weeks to May 8th, 2026 now, to get away from some of the shifting that's been seen now in the movies for next year. So that's good move. It's supposed to come out it was supposed to come out next month, but they shifted it to summertime. I think it's a good choice. I think they're going to make more money in May of 2026. Because there's no Marvel movie since they moved Doomsday down to December, and they moved something to the end of May. The Mandalorian Grogu movie is like really the big other movie I can think of top of my head right now that's coming out in May. That could be a big deal. So that sort of makes sense. I think it was supposed to come out, more comics supposed to come out the week before that or something like that. So they decided to just push it a few more weeks to get a couple more weeks, since there's really nothing, as I said, out there that is going to take them. They can get a couple weeks of good money and then get trashed by what's coming later. So good on them for doing that. The final season of Daryl Dixon has started filming. November 3rd, the Coke Holiday Creamy Vanilla is supposed to be out. I don't know what that's going to be like. A lot of people are just postulating it's just a rebranding of the vanilla Coke. But I guess if you add creamy to it, maybe you're going to add a little something extra to it to make it taste a little bit different, hopefully. I mean, hopefully it's what you want to do. You don't just want to rebrand it as vanilla Coke. It's like, look, it's creamy vanilla for the holidays. It's like, yeah, it's vanilla Coke. You want to have something a little bit different for that. I will get one. I will do it on here, and we'll talk about it when it comes out. It's November 3rd, but there's no guarantee. That's when it's supposed to come out, but it's no guarantee when it's actually going to be out. Like the Shirley Temple 7-Up has been out for a couple weeks now. My grocery store, Weiss, just got it this week. So we'll see what happens. Graphic novel Black Hole, which is very sexually charged, is set to be adapted by Netflix from the creator of I Saw the TV Glow. So people are high on that already. The Rainmaker gets a season 2 on USA Network. Fallout season 2 is set to debut December 17th. The Stranger Things series finale set to debut on New Year's Eve. Will also be simulcast in movie theaters at the same time. Don't know how that's going to work, but okay, that's what you're doing. Judd Apatow has cast Nikki Glaser in his new film. I think she's writing it also, co-writing it with Judd Apatow, so that could be good. We get our first look at relationship goals with Kelly Rowland and Method Man. Landman season 2 final trailer debuted this week. The Mitchells versus the Machines, which was an animated movie that came out in 2020, I believe, on Netflix, is set to be getting a sequel. So good for them. Danielle Rua is set to direct a short film, romantic short film called My Type. She's an actress who is on NCIS, I believe. Ted Lasso season 4 is still filming right now, and that's people have seen them filming a boat scene. So there's going to be a sequence in the new season that takes place on a boat. Amber Midthunter and Walton Goggins are set to head Painter, which is an action thriller. A Debbie Harry biopic is in the works. Boston, Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco are the first 4 teams of the Women's Pro Baseball League, which is set to begin play next year. There's a woman that works at my company who's a huge baseball person. I don't know if she has tried out for any of these teams, so we'll see. I'll hear about that soon enough, I'm sure. We got our first look at Pluribus, the new Vince Gilligan series. He created Breaking Bad and also wrote for the X-Files. Pluribus looks really, really weird. It's debuting November 7th. We got our first full trailer for it. And it's like the whole world's revolving around this one woman, and it just seems really weird. Netflix and A24 are set to create a new series called Weather Girl with Julie McDermott. It has a lot to do with climate change and stuff like that. So that's coming up here soon. Jason Statham's Mutiny is now set for August 21st, 2026. Late August is a good choice for that movie because it'll get past all the big summer blockbusters, and a late summer arrival will probably give it some good money. So good on them for doing that. Robert Kirkman is set to produce a Transformers G.I. Joe adult animated series based on his Energon series that he's doing with IDW, which basically has Transformers and G.I. Joe living in the same universe. And Energon, which is the cubes that the Transformers use, is what's powering the world. And it's a whole thing. So they're going to be doing an animated series with Robert Kirkman with that. His animated series, Invincibles, does really, really well for Prime. So good on that. 3 deaths have occurred at Disney World in the last 10 days. That's kind of unusual that so many deaths have been happening at Disney World. And this is a cute story. Actually, these 2 pretty good stories. I'll do the cute story last. Female heavy metal drummer has been sworn in as the new Japanese prime minister. So that's pretty cool. And a bear has been breaking into a California zoo to go hang out with other bears, which is really cool. At this point, it's almost like just capture him and keep him in the zoo. Let him hang out with his buds. But no, they have to shoo him out. Maybe teach him bad manners. I don't know. Anniversary Bones, some horror movie came out, I guess, 24 years ago. Don't know much about it. Apt Pupil, based on a Stephen King short story, debuted 27 years ago with Ian McKellen as a Nazi, which is interesting. Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter's film, debuted 38 years ago this week. Again, another horror film. And now we get to the other non-horror films. Kevin Smith's second film, Mallrats, debuted 30 years ago this week. And Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's first movie, debuted 33 years ago this week. We're going to find out soon enough that Kevin Smith's first movie, Clerks, also debuted this week at 31 years ago. So we'll mark that off when we get there. But yeah, so Kevin Smith likes this period of time. So Clerks came out 31 years ago this week. Mallrats came out 30 years ago this week. And Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs came out 33 years ago this week. And they should pick the final triumvirate. See if I can find that also. The Faculty debuted 34 years ago this week, which is Robert Rodriguez's third film. So those are all like the avant-garde early 90s new wave of movie directors. Deaths this week. Dave Ball, one of the Soft Cell, Tainted Love, Dave Soft Cell members passed away this week. Isabel Tate, the 911 Nashville actress, died at the age of 23 this week. All right. Excuse me. Okay. Prison Break reboot has been picked up officially for series. Yay, I guess. Never was a big fan of that anyway. Netflix is making a series about the Kennedys, just to be kind of similar to how they did The Crown. It's going to follow the entire history of the Kennedys. I mean, up to a point, I suppose. But Michael Fassbender has been cast as Joe Kennedy, the patriarch of the Kennedy family. So that could be an interesting series come up here soon. Reminders of Him trailer, a rom-com. We got that this week. This is a local restaurant nearby here has the crab cake martini, but it's not a drink. And it's kind of interesting. It's a giant martini glass that has Caesar salad, French fries, and a massive 6-ounce crab cake on top of it. Looks absolutely delicious. And it's at a local restaurant around here. I might have to check that out eventually. Franken-Dough dozen from Krispy Kreme's is set up. It's a green donut with like black sprinkles on it, so like Frankenstein, and then black with some white cream in it for the Bride of Frankenstein. You can get a dozen of those for Halloween. the Pokemon Go Halloween event has started. My favorite event of the season. I love ghost Pokemon, are my favorite types, and the backgrounds are cool, and they've got the Lavender Town music, and it's really, really cool. So I guess I can show you. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't think I will, though. All right, let me just get. See, still like that. You hear the music, and that's the background we're looking at. Let's catch him real quick. It'll probably be Zoro anyway. He ran away anyway, so it doesn't matter. And it's while the Pokey. Oh, hey Pep. The Pokestops are orange. You can't see them. And we got all kinds of cool stuff. The ghost type. Let's do one more here. Couldn't have a Halloween episode without Pepper showing up. So let's see Pepper Butt. All right, so I'll turn you off there. So that's going on now. The Halloween event goes for 2 weeks. Part 1 ends, I believe, Monday or Tuesday, maybe Monday. And then the second part rolls through with more of the Pokemon dressed in costumes. We're only getting those in where we do get awards and stuff like that for rewards for finishing tasks. They should be out and about more in their costumes during Halloween. There's going to be another new character like that too. So pretty cool about that. This is just kind of funny and surprising that no one has thought to do this. So you all know about I Know What You Did Last Summer. The first movie had the great gorgeous cast of the gorgeously sexy Jennifer Love Hewitt, the gorgeously sexy Sarah Michelle Gellar, the gorgeously sexy Freddie Prinze Jr., and the gorgeously sexy Ryan Phillippe. They were all in that, and it was written by Kevin Williamson before he wrote Scream. Made a lot of money and was the beginning of sort of the horror renaissance that happened in the late 90s. Sequel came out, did okay, added Brandy to the crew. And then they just did a legacy reboot this year, which did okay. It didn't do great, but did decent. And then we get this, and I thought it was a joke at first, but no, it's a real thing. I Know What You Did Last Christmas, which has nothing to do with I Know What You Did Last Summer, except for the premise is the same. Except instead of it being during the summer, it's during Christmas. So someone gets killed at Christmas time by a bunch of teenagers who cover it up. And then a year later, these threatening messages start appearing around Christmas time, saying, I know what you did last Christmas. And then they get knocked off one by one. It's genius because that's what horror films really are. They're just basically imitations of themselves. You just see, the same thing, but through a different perspective. It's young, hot people getting hunted down by a killer, and you have, spectacular kills and gore and stuff like that, and sex and nudity and stuff like that. And then they beat the bad guy and one of them survives, So it's actually an actual movie, and that's kind of interesting. And as I said, I'm surprising that it took this long to do something other than I Know She Did Last Summer. So we have I Know She Did Last Christmas is due to come out later this year. I think it's a direct-to-video, Shudder exclusive type of thing. So we'll find out about that. Dakota Johnson is set to debut as a director with a movie called A Tree is Blue. Jessica Alba, Charlie XCX, and Vanessa Burkhart set to star in it. We got our first look at the Troll 2 trailer. We also get our first look at How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, coming in February on Netflix. Shift over a little bit more. Cover up the pumpkin there. December 9th will be Dogma's 4K release. I'm really stoked about that. Mattel is set to produce K-pop Demon Hunters dolls, which is a really good idea also. Twix to release Hallows, a package with 2 Twix in it. One is the Halloween one with the green cream inside it, and one is the new version of the Twix Snowman. So you get both Halloween and Christmas Twix bars in the same package. The First Snow on Fraggle Rock is a new holiday special coming December 5th on Apple TV. The Abodes, the Abodes, something like that. It's the female Western coming out December 4th on Netflix. I talked about it last week. It's Gillian Anderson and the chick from Game of Thrones who was screwing her brother. The actor, I forget who the actor's name is, but they're going to be teaming up for this Western. The Abandoned, the Abandoned, I can't read something like that. The trailer for Eddie Murphy's documentary set to come out on November 12th. This looks really, really good. Lanterns has finished production. David Chase of The Sopranos returns to television with Project MK Ultra. No, it's not about Miller Lite Ultra beer. It's a look at the CIA. Hijack Season 2 trailer set to debut January 14th with Idris Elba returning. We also get the Emily in Paris Season 5 trailer set to debut December 18th. Mosquitoes spotted for the first time ever in Iceland. Iceland was one of the countries that never had mosquitoes until recently. Climate change is to blame for that. An Illinois man has been arrested for impersonating Sammy Hagar, of all people. So, crazy. A lot of anniversaries. Continue with the horror theme of anniversaries. If there is a Halloween 4, which is actually a decent sequel, which they ruined with Halloween 5, which had decent ideas, but wasn't entirely great. Came out 37 years ago this week. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, debuted 43 years ago this week. The Grudge with Sarah Michelle Gellar, the remake of the Japanese horror film, debuted 21 years ago this week. The Faculty, I talked about it, debuted 34 years ago this week. Rambo First Blood, the first movie, which was a bit more serious than the tongue-in-cheek pro-America sort of rah-rah stuff, debuted 43 years ago this week. I missed that one. The Dead Zone, based on the Stephen King novel, the movie with Christopher Walken and Martin Sheen, debuted 42 years ago this week. It spun off into a TV series, which was successful with Anthony Michael Hall. Cartoon Network debuted 31 years ago this week. Pokemon Yellow debuted 26 years ago this week. The Banshees of Inisherin debuted 3 years ago this week. And The Razor's Edge, which was the movie that messed up Bill Murray, debuted 41 years ago this week. If you don't know the story about that, Bill Murray had been trying for years to make a version of The Razor's Edge, which is a very serious film. But he was known for comedy, and he was not able to get the money or people to take him seriously that he wanted to do something dramatic. Until he eventually was able to get funding for it, but the movie did not turn out how he wanted it to, and nobody wanted to see Bill Murray in a serious role. So it flopped, and it flopped so bad that Bill Murray stopped doing movies for like 5-6 years until Scrooge dragged him back in, and he did Scrooge, and then he did the Ghostbusters 2 sequel, and the rest is history after that. But for a while there, Razor's Edge screwed him up, and it's a shame. Deaths this week: Samantha Egger, character actress from Dr. Dolittle, the original one, The Collector, and The Brood, passed away this week. And Daniel Naroditsky, American chess grandmaster, died at the age of 29 this week. All right. Castle of Tomorrow. White Castle is redoing their restaurants into something else entirely. So it'll be White Castle, but it's going to be the Castle of Tomorrow, refurbishing it in some sort of wild way. But there we go. November 13th is Red Cup Day at Starbucks, where the red cups come out for the holiday season. Everyone likes to do that. So it's up there with pumpkin spice lattes coming out. A new 30 Days of Night comic book and a new Supernatural comic book are all coming out here in the next couple weeks. 1,200-year-old loaf of bread with an image of Christ was found at an archaeological dig site. Spoiler alert, Coleman Domingo has been revealed to be the voice of the Cowardly Lion in Wicked for Good, coming out in November. We got our first look at The Bad Guys Break Up, which is a TV series on Netflix based on the animated movies. The sequel just came out, set to debut November 6th. Screamboat 2, if you guys remember that, Steamboat Willie was in the public domain. So these people who think it's cool to make horror films based on Disney cartoons made Screamboat, which had someone dressed like Mickey Mouse going around and killing people on his boat. Well, it did moderately successful, so a sequel's coming out, and Minnie Mouse will be making an appearance in that one. Yay. We got our first look at Harlan Coben's new Netflix series Runaway, set to debut next year. The Hatchery, an ocean set survival series, is cast Terrifier actress Jenny Kumani. Whatever, she's the main actress from there. Black Tide, a killer whale movie from Rennie Harlan, set to star John Travolta and Melissa Barrera. A24's Crystal Lake, the prequel to the Friday the 13th movies, has finished production as well. With Fallout Season 2 coming in December, Fallout is continuing their collaboration with Arizona. They've created new energy drinks coming, Fallout branded from Arizona. Daveed Diggs is set to appear in The Boys Season 5. Sinners is set to return to theaters for Halloween between October 30th and November 5th. That's for about a week. Local news, the Ocean City boardwalk tram has been dismantled, so you will see no more trams on the boardwalk. Tales from the Crypt returns to HBO. Well, it returned yesterday. It's now officially Sunday, with new episodes. And where's the one I skipped? Where's the story that I skipped? Oh, yeah. 5D glass disc, which can hold 360 terabytes of info, which, for those who don't know what a terabyte is, and I didn't actually till they announced it, think of 7,000 Blu-rays on one disc. 7,000 Blu-rays on one disc, and it's set to last for billions of years. Was discovered in a lab by scientists, or created in a lab by scientists. So we'll see if that is going to be made into something more serious. Don't know if it will or not. Deaths this week. Tim Reed, a Canadian Football League player, passed away this week. John Morris, a former Orioles pitcher, died this week as well. Arsani, a beloved Bollywood actor, passed away at the age of 84. And Steven Starring, an NFL player, passed away this week as well. A lot of anniversaries again as we get into some horror and stuff like that. We've got Alien Resurrection 27 years ago this week. Is underrated. I think it's a decent sequel. The ending lost me a little bit, but I like the majority of that film. Maleficent debuted 6 years ago this week. Fury debuted 11 years ago this week. The new Halloween movie debuted 7 years ago this week. 30 Days of Night debuted 18 years ago this week. It Part 1 debuted 8 years ago this week. Rob Zombie's Halloween debuted 18 years ago this week. The Prestige debuted 19 years ago this week. Get Shorty debuted 30 years ago this week. And now we just have like historical stuff. The Patterson Bigfoot film was taken on October 20th, 58 years ago this week. So that's the biggest proof of Bigfoot, and it's still the one that is the most looked at, one of the films most looked at ever. Speaking of that, the Bunny Man made its first appearance 55 years ago this week in Virginia. He is an urban legend about a bridge in Virginia. Has also been known to have been spotted in Maryland as well. Dude dressed up as a rabbit, running after people with a hatchet. I've never seen it. It's an urban legend. So the friend of a friend of a friend of a friend said that they encountered him. You know how it is. Leonard Skinner died in a plane crash 48 years ago this week. And I did that one as well. And I'm glad I picked this one as last. 37 years ago this week, Jason Todd, the second Robin, died in the Batman comics. Well, first of all, it doesn't matter anymore. It's been retconned out. He's still alive now. But what made this story interesting is 37 years ago, Jim Starlin was writing Batman, and Jim Aparo was drawing it. And it was right after Batman Year One and The Dark Knight. So it was fairly popular. And they brought Jason Todd Robin on, and he immediately rubbed all the Batman fans the wrong way. And that was what Jim Starlin, I think, kind of wanted. He didn't really like the character that much. So he decided to create a story called A Death in the Family, which would have repercussions as Jason Todd took on the Joker. And the trick of the series, the little surprise of it was after it was a 4-part miniseries. After the third part, where Jason Todd's Robin gets beaten to death by a crowbar, and the building he's in gets blown up, you had to call a 1-900 number, which was a big deal 37 years ago this week. Call a 1-900 number to vote if Jason Todd should live or die. And then the next month they would release the votes and then release the version of the comic they made, because both were made, because they have actually reprinted the one where it would have happened if he would have lived, but he did not. He was voted overwhelmingly to die because his character was overwhelmingly horrible, written by Jim Starlin. So that's kind of the interesting story about that. I kind of like that neat story. I voted to have him killed because I hated his character. And I still, honestly, I really don't like his character. There's only a few people who've written him very well, and I still don't like his character. All right, we're in the home stretch now. 6/31, Halloween. All right. Aquarium beds. Last week I talked about jelly beds. This week I'm going to talk about aquarium beds, which I probably should have waited for the last minute, but that's okay. They're beds that have aquariums built into the base or in the headboard. So you can have fish while you sleep surrounding you. Actually made that last one week. This is the last story I'll do. Mistletoe Murders on Hallmark, based on the novels, Hallmark Christmas movies. This one is a Christmas show, I think, about it's based on a series of books. They've made adaptations of them. Santa's Cookie and Milk Cinnamon Rolls. Looks really kind of interesting. Nia Long and Lorenz Tate are re-teaming for a Netflix show, romantic drama. I'm sorry, don't think it's a show. It's a romantic drama set to debut in February. I think it's a movie. The FBI is punishing NBA teams caught gambling, which is weird because I think gambling was legal in most things now. Oh, well. My alma mater, Albright, had their homecoming this weekend. It would have been the 30th anniversary of my graduating class. They were trying to get a reunion together. I think they got one together, but I just didn't have the urge to go. Mighty Life Immunity Support Cereal is something I just realized about. That sounds kind of a neat idea. The Baltimore Ravens go back into action after their bye week, and they're going to be without Lamar Jackson again. And the Ravens are getting in trouble about this because he has been a full participant in practice over the last few days. But then they announced that he was not going to start on Sunday. And the NFL was like, okay, but you said he was a full participant in practice on Friday. They said, well, we misspoke. We meant that he worked with the B team, and the work team role wasn't taking any of the first team snaps. And that could cause some issues for whatever reason, because in this case, the NBA is getting in trouble for gambling. I think the NFL has connection to gambling. They were under the impression that Lamar was going to be playing, so the odds were stacked in the Ravens' favor. But now that he's not going to be playing, it's screwing everybody up who's put money that the Ravens were going to win with Lamar, but now he's not playing. So I don't know how that's going to work out. We could get in trouble, lose some draft picks. We find out that there's something hinky going on. I still don't quite understand it all. But in the end, it's just not the Ravens' year, I guess. We'll find out tomorrow. I'm not expecting them to win, though we are getting everybody back except Lamar. So maybe that'll help out a little bit. And Snoop is a good backup. It's just we don't do well when Lamar is not in there. And we're against a Bears team that's won 4 straight games right now. Though, to be fair, they're due for a loss eventually here, don't you think? But what's interesting about that is that everybody's decrying the fact that why isn't Lamar playing? Why isn't Lamar playing? He was a full participant in practice regardless of where he was practicing. He should be playing on Sunday. Well, here's the rub. The Ravens turn around and have to fly to Miami and play on Thursday night this week. So basically the Ravens play Sunday. Then they got to fly to Miami on Wednesday to play on Thursday. So they have the Thursday night game this upcoming week. So there's 2 Ravens games within a 5-day period instead of a 7-day period. So to me, it makes more sense to rest Lamar this week because, he isn't fully healed, even though he has been practicing. You rest him for this week. He's the only guy who will be, probably at the top of his game on Thursday because all the other guys who are playing around him are only going to be working on 3 to 4 days rest. Lamar is going to be working on full month-long rest. So it makes sense if we were not having this Thursday night game, if our next game was going to be next Sunday, I think Lamar would have played tomorrow. But because we do have this Thursday game rolling in here this week, I think that's what's happening, and I'm okay with their decision on that. To be continued, so we'll see. Before I get to the last story of the week, anniversaries, John Wick debuted 11 years ago this week. Mulholland Drive debuted 24 years ago this week. Clerks debuted 31 years ago this week. I talked about that already. Paranormal Activity debuted 18 years ago this week. The Ring debuted 23 years ago this week. Deaths, we have Jesus Montero, Major League Baseball player, passed away this week. And Doug Martin, who was actual running back who played recently for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he passed away at the age of 37, which is really a shame. So I'm sorry, the 2 people who just joined, but we're on our final story of the night. 32,000-year-old Arctic flower returns to life. Apparently there was a seed planted by an ancient squirrel that, due to the climate change, has caused this Arctic plant that has been seen for 32,000 years to sprout and grow. So kind of interesting. So that's the last story this week. So quick episode this week. Again, sorry for you guys who just popped up in here. I've been doing this for about an hour now, and I'm done. So you all have a pleasant Halloween week. Next time you see me, it'll be November. We'll discuss how Halloween went, and the Ravens would have played 2 games by this point, so we'll see where they are at this point next weekend. All right, thanks for watching for the brief 5 minutes or so, and catch the replay. And now we have 3 people on. Catch the replay of the episode or rewatch it again if you want to. It's fine, and I'll see you all later. Bye.